Hey guys, so I started with this shredded wheat cereal box and I measured up from the bottom 3.5 inches. Right there, 3.5 inches. So I do a little bit of marking and then I draw my line straight across the box at 3.5 inches. Now, for the parts that fold over the front of the box, we have to make sure that we have a flap that encompasses the width of the box and then the flap that comes down the front of the box. So after I finish drawing this line all the way around the box, I'm going to focus on measuring the bottom of the box right here. It's about 2.25. And I'm going to just do a couple of marks and draw a line just down this side of the box to mark off that next section. And of course, the last section is going to be the same as the first, which is 3.5. So here you see me marking 3.5, and I'll make a line there. That's it for doing our marks, those 3. The next thing I'm going to do is take the front of the box where I have that third panel and I'm going to draw on what I want for my box. So if you want a fox, you draw a fox. If you want a elf or something like that, you go ahead and draw that. I did a koala bear and now I'm going to cut around it. Now my little nose pokes off the bottom of that 3.5 and that's okay. So make sure that if you put a little nose on there that you don't chop him off. And you're going to cut down the 2 seams just down far enough so that you're only cutting down to that last 3.5 flap. You can see as I'm cutting here what I'm talking about. So cut away all of the box down to the 3.5 inch line except for the front. That's going to create your flap. Don't cut that part off. So all the way around the box here, you can see I cut down to 3.5 inches and left the, I guess it would be the back of the cereal face front. And now I'm going to cut around the parts that make up the face of the koala bear. Okay, and now I can go ahead and bend over the first flap, but not the second one because I still need to cut out the ears. I'm using a craft knife and I put down a green self-healing mat underneath. You don't want to damage or cut through your craft mat or onto your table or whatever you have surface underneath. So make sure you put down something underneath where you're cutting with your craft mat. So here you can see that I cut out each one of the ears and I'm not cutting them all the way off, just the outline of them so that they stick up off the top of the front of the purse is what it's going to be. So now I can go ahead and bend that last fold line that we drew originally, and you can see the ears pop up. Super cool, right? Okay, next I'm going to take some apple barrel white paint. You can get this for like 50 cents at Walmart, somewhere between like 87 cents and $1 at any other store. And if you know, especially if you don't have a Walmart nearby you, and I'm going to paint one kind of thin layer of white over the entire box. Now you can still see the color through the box. So I will eventually do a second coating of white just to make it a little bit thicker. And if you're watching the upper left-hand box like I told you to, there's a lot of funny stuff going on there. I really like to make my videos fun to watch. And it's just more intriguing when you can see my face at the same time that you see my hands moving. So I just really enjoy that. That's super fun. In between, I went ahead and used my heat gun to dry that. Acrylic paint dries super fast with a heat gun. It truly does. I saved the bottom of the box for last most times because I wanted to be able to put it back down on my craft mat in between. Oh, I got a little on my watch. Nope, can't do with that. So I went ahead and wiped it off with a baby wipe. Here is my second coating. You're going to notice the warning that I gave you in the beginning of the video. As I painting and painting, going back and forth, you see the color reappearing again because there's a waxy coating on there. So it's not completely covering or staying on there, which is why now I'm using a dabbing motion, trying to get that paint to just sit on top and hoping that when it dries that it works out pretty well. And it does, it truly does. But make sure that you're sanding down or turning your box inside out so that you get a much better result than I did. Here I'm mixing some apple barrel white and apple barrel black just to make the color gray that I'm happy with. And then I'm going to paint the entire box gray. Now the white, you say, well, why didn't you just paint the entire box gray from the get-go? Well, because it's a darker color, but there was nothing for it to stick to. So basically the white underneath is kind of giving it a tooth or something for the top layer to stick to, and for making the opacity of it a lot, better, so that you're not seeing color of the box, the cereal box, coming through. But like I said, make sure that you inside out your box or sand it beforehand, because otherwise you're going to have the same issues that I did with the paint coming off of the waxy part of the box. This is such a fun and neat and cool project. I really don't want you to give up on it just because I told you guys that I had an issue. My channel is all about real art, not just making it look perfect, but letting you know the pitfalls and things that are going on. So even as a beginner, advanced, or intermediate crafter, you can take what I've learned and advance yourself, or maybe remember some things that you hadn't remembered before, that type of thing. So I'm hoping to be able to inspire all of you guys, no matter what level you're at. There we go. We've got the whole box gray. Hope you're still watching me in the upper left-hand box. That cracked me up. I'm going to go ahead and dry this, which that's the most boring part, I think. And now I'm going to add the nose. I am just freehand drawing a black, a round black nose, kind of an oval shape. And I'm going to color the brown part with a Sharpie marker. Not the other side, because of course the waxy part doesn't hold the marker. But it does hold glue. So yeah, that marker is smelly. Oh, I got a little bit of my hands, but here I'm going around it so that you don't see the white from the packaging around the nose. So that's just an extra little tip there if you want it to look really finished. In the glue that I'm using in my little bottle, you can get the bottle with this fine tip and the nice little rubber cap and everything, and a stainless steel pin from the Quality Crafts shop. I just fill mine with Aleene's Tacky Glue, the gold bottle that you can get practically anywhere. Michael's, Joann's, dollar stores even have it. And I just glued it right onto the box. So the next thing I'm going to do is the ears. I'm using 110-pound Neenah cardstock, white. You can use acrylic paint and just paint this part on, but I chose to do it with paper. So a little bit of Aleene's Tacky Glue, and I just glued these little tufts of white right on his ears. One more thing to bring this guy to life would be his little eyes. So I used a 1-inch circle punch on the Neenah white cardstock, and then a 1/4 inch little punch on the black paper, and I just glued the pupils right into the little white circles and then put them on the box. Here I'm just double checking that, yep, that is indeed what I want. It looks good. And since the top keeps popping off, I'm going to glue them on the craft mat and then transpose them over onto his little face. Wet glue gives you just a moment to slide these around in case you put them in the wrong spot. And here I'm adding a little bit of glue because his nose wasn't fully glued all the way to the tippy top. Almost done. Now I'm missing a little tiny bit of footage here, but I'm going to do a magnetic closure. So here I'm going to show you how to do this on the outside. And then you just know that I put it the same one on the inside to make sure that it closes. So I put a little bit of liquid embossing just so that my little magnet doesn't move. And then I surround it with double-sided foam adhesive. You can get the foam adhesive from my shop, qualitycrafts.com. And I do this just so that the foam and the sticky part will hold everything in place until that glue has a chance to really dry. I just covered that up with a paper circle that I punched out and then put the next magnet on. Then I thought, why not add a little cute little handle to this? So I measured each side of the box to the middle and about 3/4 of an inch down and put a little dot there. And I used my crocodile on the biggest hole setting. There's 2 settings on this one. On the largest hole setting and punched a hole. This thing will punch through anything, you guys. It's crazy strong. So I punched a hole on either side, and then I just threaded that ribbon through. See, right there is where the paint's starting to come off. Yeah. But you won't have that problem, right? Because I told you how to avoid it. So I just tied a double knot inside, cut off the extra, and did the same to the other side. This makes a fun little handle so that they've got, it almost makes like a tiny little purse really for little kids. And if you made it longer, you could use it for an adult. I'm going to show you in just a second how I can put it around my shoulder here. Totally fun. So here are some little pictures of this guy all finished at the very end. I hope you enjoyed this. Check out Christine and Tina's and make sure that you subscribe to everybody and leave some nice comments so that you might win the prize. I can't wait to see you guys next video.